Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right guys, I'm back and it is Wednesday, June 10th, and it is 10:22 p.m. Well, I've recorded my first video and uploaded it. It is still being processed by YouTube. And now we're on to the second video, which is going to be news. All right, well, let's get into it. Now, I do have some people to thank, but I'm going to do that at the end of the show. I do have a lot here. I've got enough probably for 2 or 3 shows. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to get through a good portion of it. Okay, you're maybe looking at this and wondering what it is. Well, I wrote that down so I wouldn't forget to tell you. Think about this. Derek Chauvin kneeled on the neck of George Floyd for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. What time did the first plane hit the tower of the Twin Towers? 8:46. 8:46. And Minneapolis is part of the Twin Cities. Twin Cities, Twin Towers, 8:46, 8:46. I don't know. I think that's significant. So I wanted you to mull that over. Let me know what you think. Because, yeah, the symbolism, a little bit too much. Too much to be coincidence, I think. Maybe that's just me, but that's what I think. And you wouldn't be tuning in if you didn't care at all what I think. Now, I do want to get to the news, absolutely, but I wanted to share that with you and just ask that you would let me know what you think about that, because I think it's significant. All right, well, let's go on here. And I have so much stuff here, so much stuff, and it's all good. So it's going to be hard for me to choose what to get to. But Buffalo officials duped by professional Antifa provocateur arrest and charge 2 police officers. Righteous police team stand together and walk out. Now, this is interesting because this just proves that what Donald Trump said is the truth. Again, he's always proven correct. Even with the, the drug, well, he was proven correct on that as well, because all those studies have been discredited now. So, again, Donald Trump is correct, no matter what the news has said and how much they've made fun of him. Martin Gugino is a 75-year-old professional agitator and Antifa provocateur who brags on his blog about the number of times he can get arrested and escape prosecution. Now, by the way, this is the man that supposedly fell to the ground and had blood coming out of his ear. Okay, so yeah, he has now been found to be a professional agitator and Antifa provocateur, exactly as Trump said. According to Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown, there has been vandalism, there have been fire set, there have been stores broken into and looted. According to what was reported to me, that individual was a key major instigator of people engaging in those activities. Mr. Gugino's Twitter account is also filled with anti-cop sentiment. Last Thursday, Gugino traveled from his New York home in Amherst to Buffalo, where he was seen on camera agitating a protest crowd. One of the protesters earlier remarked that Mr. Gugino was acting like an asshole. Pardon my French, but just reading what's there. Trying to get punched in the face. During his effort, Gugino was attempting to capture the radio communications signature of Buffalo police officers. CTH noticed that he was attempting on Thursday night, as soon as the now viral video was being used by media to sell a police brutality narrative. Today, a more clear video has emerged that shows exactly what he was attempting. In the slow motion video, you will see Gugino using a phone as a capture scanner. You might have heard the term skimming. It is essentially the same. Watch him use his right hand to first scan the mic of Officer 1. Then Gugino moves his hand to the communications belt of the second officer. And we're going to look at this video here. Sorry, let me get back up here. Yeah, here. So let's watch this. I'll make this bigger because, okay, so there he is, scanning him. And scanning this other officer. Yeah. So quite evident that it's true. And also, I noticed that his head wasn't quite touching the ground, but yet the blood was coming out of his ear. Not in this video, but in others. So the whole narrative completely defies logic at this point. The capture of communications signal explained in detail here. Well, I don't understand how that they can do that, and I really don't care about the details of it. I just know they can, and he was. Is a method of police tracking used by Antifa to monitor the location of police. In some cases, the more high-tech capture software can even decipher communications encryption, allowing the professional agitators to block, black out, jam, or interfere with police communication. In addition, many police body cams are Bluetooth enabled, which allows syncing. Unfortunately, in the modern era, the professional agitators have become very sophisticated and use technology to help create chaos. Their activity is highly coordinated, and as James O'Keefe has revealed in his undercover operations, these professionals even stage events to manipulate public opinion. No, really? Well, we've been aware of that because, you know, the crisis actors that they used to hire, not sure about the ones now, but they did a very, very poor job, and you could pick them out immediately, as soon as they'd start interviewing, you'd go, crisis actor. All right, so unfortunately, okay, I guess I've read that, and let's come down here, and there's the picture of all the blood coming out of his ear. But apparently he had some tubing that you could see the tubing, and this was all coordinated by him. He was not harmed in any way, but of course everybody was outraged when Trump said he was a professional provocateur. Everybody was outraged. Well, he is. He is. When he was pushed away by the officers, Gugino fell and presumably hit his head. As a consequence of the above, the two officers were suspended, and the Buffalo authorities have arrested and charged the two police officers. In a show of support, the entire Buffalo police unit that makes up the emergency response team resigned their position. On Friday, Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown admitted Gugino was a professional agitator who had tried to work up the crowd and had been asked to leave the area numerous times. However, despite the known ideology and intent of Mr. Gugino, and despite a more careful look at the video highlighting exactly what Gugino was attempting, the Buffalo authorities are frozen by political correctness and have now arrested and charged the two officers. How fair is that? Two Buffalo cops have been arrested and charged with second-degree assault after they shoved a 75-year-old peace activist. See how they're characterizing him as a peace activist. Oh, okay. Activist to the ground Thursday, causing him to crack his head open on the sidewalk as hundreds of colleagues gathered outside the city court in solidarity to cheer their release without bail. Aaron so people were their colleagues, and everyone was gathered outside of city court because they knew what was going on. Aaron Torgaleski and Robert McCabe were each charged with one count of assault in the second degree in a court hearing Saturday morning over the shocking incident that left peaceful protester Martin Gugino in a serious condition in hospital. I doubt that. The cops were arraigned in a virtual court hearing where they both pleaded not guilty to the charges, and the two cops hid from the view of the camera. They each face up to 7 years in prison if convicted of the Class D felony. They were released without bail and will appear back in court on July 20th. It would appear Mr. Gugino succeeded in his endeavor. And this is his Twitter page. And notice this. F the police. Right. That's his sentiment. This by Ben Talmadge. There have been vandalism, there have been fire set, there have been stores broken into and looted. According to what was reported to me, that individual was a key major instigator of people engaging in those activities. And 2 Buffalo police who shoved peace activists, are expected to be charged today as 57 colleagues resigned in disgust over their treatment, gathered outside court to show support. Well, I'm glad that their colleagues are behind them. And he was there to start. This guy was acting like a complete asshole all night long. So yeah, there's videos of him instigating the crowd and so forth. So yeah. And a picture of Mr. Martin Gugino sitting up and chatting on his cell phone before being loaded into the ambulance. Right. Yeah, that's what people do. And did you see the picture of him? He was there. His head wasn't even touching the pavement. His legs were crossed and he had his cell phone like this. When people fall to the pavement like that, they don't cross their legs and still holding their cell phone. Give me a break, people. They think we're all stupid. They really do. And we're not. Okay, now let's go back here and let's look at this. Yeah, hashtag Seattle Autonomous Zone now has a warlord. It's been 2 days. So let's look at this. Who is Raz Simone and who is he and his crew accountable to? Anyone? Are they de facto authority here now? If so, doesn't that basically make them warlords? Raz crew is self-appointed, heavily armed, has indicated their intention to police the area and has engaged in the use of force. I am unaware of any rival street force of their stature expressing the desire to hold authority in the area. The power vacuum has apparently been filled. I'm guessing he made himself in control since he has the guns. I only knew from 3 years ago when he gave all my staff his mixtape when he came into our work. All right, and Raz Simone and crew assault man for graffiti. Raz is becoming the very thing people didn't want to begin with. This is the second time I've seen Raz assault someone on video during the protest, the first being Omari, where he was live streaming. The video is terrifying. We are the police now. Holy shite, what a nightmare. This is who he is. He hasn't evolved into this recently. And that's him. And that's the one that's in control of the autonomous zone in Seattle. So there you go. Defund the police, and that's what you get. That's what you get. And I feel heartsick sorry for the people living in that autonomous zone. What are they supposed to do? What about the people that have stores in that zone? What are they supposed to do? And it says, man was tagging over someone else's art. Raz and group approach and separate him from the crowd, chasing him for 2 blocks. He begins to film them with his phone. They take it from him. He tries to get it back and they attack him, kicking him in the head and breaking his glasses. At one point, Raz threatens to shoot the man. They then begin to gaslight him, and that was all his fault. Audio only for most of the end, because a woman in Raz's crew filming puts the phone in her pocket while the stream continues. So there you go. Yeah, so that's what happens. You defund the police and warlords are going to take over, just like that. You leave a vacuum in power and authority and law and order, someone's going to fill that, and it ain't going to be pretty. So let's go back now, because we've got a lot to get to. This by Candace Owens. Fact, Black Lives Matter riots have destroyed more innocent black lives in the last month than white police officers have in a decade. That is the truth. I have a lot of respect for Candace Owens, a lot of respect. I would be delighted if she ran for office. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere that she was going to. I hope she does. I really do. We need people like that. You know, we really do. Because she's all about solutions. Okay. And this is very important. So heads up, just a heads up, we might get a FF on the 13th, perhaps this Saturday or July 13th, unless the deep state is signaling for MS-13 to come in. Just be on the lookout. They're speaking in code with these tweets, and I completely concur. That's exactly what they're doing. Let's look at these tweets. Here's Madonna. This video is an excerpt from the documentary 13th, directed by Ava DuVernay, whatever. Do we need any more proof that we need to get this white supremacist out of the White House? Do we need any more reasons to get out there and vote to ensure that he is not? And notice 13th. Okay, now let's go. Here's Hillary Clinton. I wish she'd keep that mask on permanently. Every 13 minutes, a woman in the United States dies of breast cancer. Last July, one of them was my best friend from childhood. Do you believe that? Because I don't. I'm so grateful to the NBC C-Stop Because BC community for pushing for a future. We hope and pray for a future without breast cancer. So then here we have, again, 13. And here's Senate Democrats. To see the president crowing over a 13% unemployment rate are we in Alice in Wonderland? Is that anything to crow about? Millions of people are unemployed, so we need to continue to support our workers. And that's by Maisie, which is what you name your cow, not your child. Anyway, sorry. I really don't like that woman. And here's Joe Biden. 13 million people who had jobs when you took office are unemployed today. Right, and it's all his fault, isn't it? He's the one that, concocted this virus in a lab and released it so that everyone would lose their jobs. Yeah, it's all his fault. Piece of work, Joe Biden is. And here he says NASDAQ hits all-time high, and he responds with 13 million. 13. So that's a lot of key accounts that were using the term 13. I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't. So we know that's how they communicate. So be on the lookout. I don't know what it means, but I think we're going to find out. So heads up for the 13th. Be safe. And let's go back now. All right, now this by Danielle D'Souza Gill. She says, I'm a 5'2" woman. Me too. Well, I'm actually 5'3", but everybody says I'm lying when I say that. I'm just shy of 5'3". Anyway, I'm a 5'2" small woman. I live in New York City, so not allowed to own a gun. With New York City mayor defunding the New York Police Department, how are women supposed to protect themselves in New York City? Compared to this month last year, listen to this. Murder is up 94%. Burglary is up 34%. Auto theft is up 70%. Shootings are up 63%. Wow. She's right. Women need to be concerned about how to protect themselves, and men too. And then there's Yig. So you get knocked out from hitting your head, and you keep your feet crossed, hold on to your phone, and manage to give a 3-finger hand sign. Alrighty then. Right. Yeah, this guy, Trump was absolutely 100% about him. But that's not surprising, is it? Okay, now let's look at this. Okay, Seattle, this is by Andy, Seattle Mayor Jenny is allowing a dangerous situation to fester. Antifa militants have taken over and created an autonomous zone in city with their own rules. Police precinct abandoned. Antifa set up barricades to create a border, calling for, I thought borders were bad. I thought borders were bad. Why are they setting up a border? I mean, aren't they the same ones that are saying it's so evil to have a border? Oh, I'm sorry. That was Xander jumping right beside the microphone. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones. All these leftists saying, it's bad to have this wall. We don't want borders. But they set up a border here, calling for volunteers to provide armed guards. So let's take a look at this. The Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, folks in Seattle have secured 6 blocks of city at the moment, barricaded it, and gotten local businesses and residents to agree to, disaffiliate from Seattle. Basically, it's a flux state in the making. Well, what choice did those businesses have? They probably said, either do this or we'll burn your business to the ground. You think they had any choice? And I bet you those businesses are going to have to pay to keep their businesses safe, because that's how people like that work. And you are entering free Capitol Hill. It's anything but free. You take away the police, you got a warlord coming in, filling the void. Speaker at the autonomous zones advocating folks with firearms take shifts to defend the barricades. Shite is getting organized. Yeah, it is. And so this is the Capitol Hill free zone. It's kind of like 1984, where it's the opposite. They'll say war is peace, and whatever. It's like it's anything but free. So relaxation and dining field regularly handed out. Plus food regularly handed out, plus coffee bar, and there's barricades all here. So this is the zone. It's a large area. Captured regime East Precinct. I am so sorry. Xander is just feeling frisky tonight, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, captured regime East Precinct. They have captured the East Precinct, an abandoned police station with doors left unlocked. Why would they leave the doors unlocked? I heard they also were given the keys to City Hall somewhere. Now, I don't know if that was here, but, and this is Goodwill Capitol Hill, house along, I don't know. Anyway, regime occupied Safeway. Police hold up here. All right. Unbelievable. It really is. I don't even know what to say about it. Okay. And let's look at this. I had to say something. I love this woman. Said I had to say something about the American politicians shameless and ignorantly using the kente fabric as a prop in their virtue signaling. I'm usually more mild-mannered than this, so please forgive me. I'm upset. I like this woman. Let's listen to her.
Hi friends, I'm usually either too busy or too lazy to make this kind of quick video response. But today something happened and I thought it's actually important enough that I get in front of my camera and make a short video to explain something short enough for me to post on Twitter. I was just looking online today, like most of you, and what did I see? A bunch of Democrat politicians kneeling down, of which I have nothing to say about that because I am not an American. However, they were all having around their necks this colorful fabric, which I'm sure they put around their necks as some kind of mark or show of unity or solidarity with black people. So in other words, they are putting forward the kente material or this colorful fabric they had around their necks as some kind of placating sign or symbol
Virtue
to
signaling.
show that they are not racist and they are together with black people. Excuse me, dear Democrats, in your tokenism, you didn't wait to find out that this thing that you're hanging around your neck is not just some African uniform. It's actually the kente material. The kente belongs to the Ghanaian people, mainly the Ashanti tribe. Excuse me, Democrats, don't treat Africans like we're children. These fabrics and these, colorful things that we have within our culture and tradition, they all mean something to us. I know you look at us and you say, oh, Africans, you're so cute in all your colorful dresses. Well, some of those dresses and patterns and colors and fabrics actually do mean something to us. Some of them belong to ancient tribes and mean something to them. So why are you using it as your own show of non-racism or your own show of virtue? Why are you using the kente material to signal your virtue? Stop it. We are not children. Africans are not children. And leave our tradition and our culture to us. And if you don't know much about it, ask somebody. I'm sure there would have been something else you could have done to show your solidarity with black people, instead of taking the kente material and making a little show of it.
That's right. I really, really like this woman. She's very well spoken. You can tell she's educated. And what she says is 100% right. 100% right. What they did was wrong. Really, really wrong. And it's kind of like Justin Trudeau, when he went to India and he was dressed more Indian than the Indians. And it was absolutely ridiculous and it was insulting to them. And it was, we were embarrassed. I don't know of any Canadian that wasn't absolutely totally embarrassed by what he did, because he was using their dress and going like this and doing all these things to appease and make it seem like he's not racist and he's on their side and whatever. But he came across absolutely the opposite. So yeah, this is it. I'm so glad that this woman spoke up. I'm really, really glad she did. All right, now let's go back. And Jordan Rachel says, imagine watching a televised funeral with hundreds in attendance after being told you can't go to the funeral of someone in your own family. You can't go to church. You can't go to your kid's graduation, etc. Imagine watching it all and still not realizing you're being played. And we are being played. That's exactly what's happening. All right, this says very important, so I guess it is. Yes, I like this. Boom, CNN gets a taste of their own medicine on live TV. And I love it because it happened to Don Lemon, who's got to be the worst. I can't even call him a journalist. I don't know what he is. But let's listen.
The country, what's your message?
You don't believe that for 1 minute, do you?
That their message is?
Yeah.
That's what they said to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe them.
Any protests over the deaths of these cops today in Baton Rouge?
I don't know that.
Any riots or protests over the police officers in Dallas, Texas?
What are you asking?
It's a pretty simple question.
I asked you what's your message to the people. Their message is one of peace. What is your message?
My message has been clear from day one 2 years ago. This anti-cop sentiment from this hateful ideology called Black Lives Matter has fueled this rage against the American police officer. I predicted this 2 years ago. So what I want to know...
Okay, Sheriff.
Do I want to know?
With all due respect, do you know that this was because of that?
Yes, I do.
As a law enforcement officer?
I've been watching this for 2 years. I predicted this. This anti-police rhetoric sweeping the country has turned out some hateful things inside of people that are now playing themselves out on the American police officer. I want to know, with all of the black-on-black violence in the United States of America, by the way, when the tragedies happen in Louisiana and Minnesota, do you know that 21 black people were murdered across the United States?
That's right.
Was there any reporting on that?
Black officer who was killed today. But
Was there any reporting on that?
Sheriff, please, let's just keep the volume down here. So I understand.
He doesn't know how to get it back on track.
I'm looking at 3 dead cops this week, and I'm looking at 5 last year. You trying to tell me to keep it down?
Just please, if you'll just please, we can keep it civil. So, because the message to people at home, I'm sure you want, is one of civility.
I wish, Don, I wish you had that message of civility
have a conversation
toward
with
this
you.
hateful ideology, these purveyors of hate.
What my message is.
That's
what I
what
want
they
to say
do.
to you is,
These
will you
people
let me
preach
are you going to get a
vile
word
and
in?
virtue
We'll be right
in the
back.
name
We're
of
going to go to break,
hate.
and we'll be right back. All I'm going to do is have a conversation. I can't have a conversation with you if we're both talking at the same time. What it sounds like to me is that you're accusing me of violence and supporting something.
Isn't that something? He can't, he won't pander. This sheriff won't pander to him and tell him, oh yes, the message is peace and tranquility and flowers and sunshine. And he's right. There's been a whole mess of black people killed over this, rioting, mostly black, one white person, one. So tell me, do Black Lives Matter? Do they really? Then why are you killing them? And statistically, more whites are killed by police officers than blacks. So, I don't know. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a problem. There's a problem, but yeah, we know what's happening here. We totally do. And I just love that sheriff. I love him. I think he's awesome. I'd just love to shake his hand. And no, I wouldn't be afraid of getting coronavirus. So there you go. All right, let's go back now because there's more. There's always more. Some gobsmackingly good stuff here. I gotta stop saying gobsmacking, but it's just such an awesome word. All right, and here is this creep. Breaking. Mayor de Blasio just announced that New York City funding of the New York Police Department will be shifted to fund youth and social service programs. Well, isn't that lovely? Yeah, that should stop the crime right away. Certainly. You know, I've come to the conclusion. I used to think that these people were just stupid. No, they're not stupid. They're evil. There's a big difference.
Yes, the Black, Latino, and Asian Caucus has called repeatedly for reconsideration of priorities. Now we're about to go into a budget process over the next few weeks to make the final decisions on the city budget. But I want to make a statement of principle right now that based on the suggestions of the caucus, based on the work of the task force, that we will be moving funding from the NYPD to youth initiatives and social services. The details will be worked out in the budget process in the weeks ahead. But I want people to understand that we are committed to shifting resources to ensure that the focus is on our young people. And I also will affirm, while doing that, we will only do it in a way that we are certain continues to ensure that this city will be safe.
Oh, right.
Now, the second point. Yes, the Black, Latino, and Asian Caucus has called repeatedly for reconsideration of priorities.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. You know, can we trust him that they're going to do it in a manner that's going to be safe? Do you trust him? And more importantly, those of you in New York, do you trust him? I would love to hear from some people that are living in New York City right now. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I really would. And, you know, if you agree with him, that's okay too. I mean, just let us know how you're what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what's happening, what do you see around you? We want to know because we're not there. All right, let's go back now because there's more. Hate to tell you, there's lots and lots more. Okay, this by Andy No. Source on the ground. They bar media from entering and screen people coming in. They are walking around fully armed, talking about making their own currency and making their own flag. Now, this is the so-called autonomous zone in Seattle. Breaking Antifa mob planning to take over more Seattle neighborhoods Following the surrender of the East Precinct of the Seattle Police Department, a source on the ground says that other precincts are, and we're not going to go out to that article, but I just wanted to read that headline for you because it's important to know that's their plans. No, they're not going to be satisfied with the city blocks that they've already taken. They're going to expand and move the barriers out gradually until they've taken over the city. That's what they want. But I can assure you that that will not be allowed. Okay. I love this. And I had to put this in here. SD Blue says, did you hear the joke about how to get rid of COVID? It's a riot. Yeah. And it is. That's exactly how you get rid of it. You start riots. And then suddenly it's gone. I don't know. It's the strangest virus. It's terrified of riots because apparently it doesn't spread when people are rioting. So I guess that's the answer to it. Okay, let's continue on here. I'm going to try and get through as much as I can. All right, now look at this. Because you probably haven't seen this on the mainstream news, and you probably won't see it on the mainstream news. This person, Rain on Me, says, this disgusts me. National monuments desecrated by thugs, then folks posing with pride over the destruction. Can you imagine? Well, let's take a look at this. If this doesn't make you feel sick to your stomach, I don't know what will. Okay, I'm going to have to turn the sound off because it's music and I don't want to get a copyright charge. I've got enough to worry about with Twitter. So let's just take a look, and this is going to show us the destruction. Whoops. It's still not. Let me see this. There we go. Okay. Look at that. Look at it. I guess these people are proud of it. They want to pose with it. This is absolutely... Have you seen that on the news? If you have, let me know, because I haven't. Not even the so-called conservative news stations are covering this. Can't imagine why. Yes, I know. I'm angry about this because that's for generations of Americans to enjoy. And you know, I'm not even for taking down the Confederate because it's part of history and it's part of saying this is what happened in the past. This is how we won our freedom, and it was wrong, but it's part of history. So what is wrong with that? Are they wanting to just rewrite the history books and just take out the Civil War? Is that what they're trying to do by destroying all these Confederate, whatever, memorials or whatever? It's part of history. And we better not forget that history or we're going to repeat it. I don't understand. And then you've got Pelosi pandering again. She is, honestly, that woman is demonic. And I don't say that of very many people, but she is. She's wanting to take down these Confederate. And why? Because she thinks it's going to win her votes. Not her particularly, but the Democrats at large. They want to be in control, and they will ruin this country. All right. And this says, welcome to Somalia, Minnesota. Again, let's take a look at this. Okay, now it's starting over again, so we can stop. But I wanted you to see that because they're sure not showing that on the news, are they? They're not showing us how bad it really is. And why not? They'd rather make up the news than actually report it. Okay, let's look at this. Dan Bongino, who I have a great amount of respect for. And let's look at this. It says, but they'll fine or arrest you for cutting someone's hair. Makes perfect sense only if you're liberal. And this is the riot in LA. This is drone imagery. Look at that. Yeah. Pretty unbelievable, isn't it? Look at those crowds. Like, I can't hardly believe it. And they're jammed in there so close that, well, I guess if there is a virus, I mean, I know that there is a virus. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the virus doesn't exist. It does, but it's been portrayed as something that it's not. And it's meant to bring fear and to keep us locked down and to wreck the economy. Well, it's done that. But, you know, if there is a virus, how many of these people, just takes one or two in that crowd? Or does it? Because now they're walking that back. That's something else I wanted to mention. They're walking it back that it is airborne. You know why? You know why they're walking it back? Because they'll have no explanation as to why people in crowds like that didn't all get COVID. That's why. So they're walking it back. Oh, it's not airborne. It's not airborne. We were wrong. That's why. Because everybody's going to go, wait a minute. All these riots and, you know, we haven't seen a big increase. Or they're going to start lying again and say, oh, we've seen this huge increase and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But, yeah. Let's go back. Going to try and get through as much of this as I can. Yes, and this is something else, and please, guys, take note of this. Police warn of arsonists targeting homes with American flags on display. Now, we're not going to read all this, but I did want to get that out there because a lot of you, you know, have American flags out, and it's a wonderful thing. But if you are in one of these hot spots, be cautious, okay? Because they will target your home if you have an American flag on display. That's what police are saying now. So I would hate to, if I was in the States right now, have a flag out, and I would hate to have to pull that down. But I would if there were rioters in the area, because it just, you might as well put a bullseye on your house. Okay, now let's go back and come down here. Donald Trump Jr., not at all shocking, but worth noting, Chinese propaganda outlet has paid U.S. newspapers $19 million for advertising, print and printing. So says the Daily Caller. A lot of money, isn't it? 19 million. And this by Nellie Stirs, and I know she is a listener. This is what Trump has done to black people, or to black Americans. First Step Act, money invested in historical black colleges, criminal justice reform, lowest black unemployment, lower taxes, Alice Johnson and others released from prison. What did Obama do? Crickets. True. It's all true. He is not a racist president. He's not. He's about lifting black people up when they need lifting up and supporting places like colleges, black colleges, lowering taxes, criminal justice reform that was very, very needed. Why didn't Obama do that? He was in office 8 years. What the heck did he do? Not much. All right, and let's look at this. Oh, yes. Let's look at this. New. An LAPD unit was ordered to stand watch outside the private home of LA City Council President CD6 Nouri at LAPPL calls it hypocritical. Well, it is. Here, she is demanding $150 million be reallocated from the police budget, but yet she has security at her house by the LAPD. Isn't it about time we all voted these people out? They're not helping us at all. Okay, now let's look at this. Do you believe in coincidences? POTUS tweet 55% to 34%. Let's take a look at QAnon drops 55 and 34, because we know that Trump's tweets are often coded, and we know that it coincides sometimes to Q markers. So let's take a look. Here's the tweet poll. Trump better than Biden on economic growth, 55% to 34%. That's all. Who are the 34%? Now, it might not be anything, but just in case it is, let's look at drop 55 and 34. Okay, that's not what I wanted to look at. This is what I wanted to look at. Twitter marker. Look, this is it. Look to Twitter. Exactly this. My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. God bless. And let's look at the next one. Marker, that was 55. Let's look at 34. Well, this is not going to be easy to view, is it? But I'm going to try. Q clearance patriot. My fellow Americans, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we are taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. On POTUS order, we have initiated certain fail-safes that shall safeguard the public from the primary fallout, which is slated to occur 11/3 upon the arrest announcement of Mr. Podesta. Actionable 11/4. Confirmation to the public of what is occurring will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. Public riots are being organized in serious numbers in an effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessity. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of every man, woman, and child of this country is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided, as so many have fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has long been broadcast. We will be initiating the emergency broadcast system, EMS, during this time in an effort to provide direct message, avoiding the fake news, to all citizens. Organizations and or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been pre-lifted to provide our military the necessary authority to handle and conduct these operations at home and abroad. Now, this was posted, this was one of the very first posts by Q. In fact, it was post number 34. So this is the very beginning. And can you see now why I believe that the beginning is actually the end? This is what we're seeing now, riots and so forth. And 11/3, I guess we'll know if Mr. Podesta is arrested, and he should be. So I think that's very interesting, personally. And let's go back, because there's more interesting things to come. Now, is it true? Antifa now has their own debit cards refilled by George Soros upon demand? Well, that's what they're saying. Now, I don't know for a fact, but that's what they're saying. And it wouldn't surprise me, because wouldn't that be an efficient way? Hand them out cards and just refill them? I would think. And Charlie Kirk. Wow. Democrat Governor Andy Beshear just announced plans to provide 100% health care to Black Americans only. How is that constitutional? The 14th Amendment says explicitly no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Good for you, Charlie Kirk. You are right on as usual. And this by Paul Sperry, and it's true. He says, good luck getting hazard insurance for your property and securing a mortgage contract in any city that defunds and dismantles its police force. True enough. And let me see now. I don't have too much more to go here. I'll remove that so I know that I've covered it, and I've covered that. All right, let's look at this. Lisa Mae Crowley. Donald Trump said Buffalo protester shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur. 75-year-old Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. OANN, I watched. He fell harder than he was pushed. Was aiming scanner. Could be a setup. And Lisa Mae Crowley said, knew it. Love that POTUS is calling out the fraud. And yes, it's now been... and POTUS has now been proven to be correct. And let's look at this. Black Lives Matter leader says group developing highly trained military arm for war on police. How is this not terrorism? It is terrorism. It's domestic terrorism. There's no other way of putting it. Let's look at this. I'm just going through these because they're easy. Kayleigh McEnany. Some outlets are putting out fake suppression polls to try to dampen the enthusiasm of President Donald Trump supporters. Don't buy it. Fake polls destroy media credibility. So she's just warning that that's what they're doing. And should that surprise any of us? Nope. And of course, you've seen this. I think I've shown this to you previously. There is the mayor of DC and Donna Brazile. They are married. Now, let me just see what I can cover here quickly, because there's a lot of stuff here, and I may have to leave some of it for, I think I showed you this too in the last video, so I think I'm gonna leave most of this. Actually, I kept this because I wanted to keep it for posterity to refer to, because every time I tell people that, they say, no, that's not true. It is true. Okay. Okay, let me see. Well, let's take a look at this. This is important. And this is going to be my last item for this evening. But I will be back, and I will have the news tomorrow, and the Q posts, I will have that as well. George Floyd's family petitions United Nations to help disarm police in the United States. Right, but this just all happened by accident. You know, this was just, you know, it was an organic, you know, situation that arose, and right. They're making him into some sort of a martyr, which he wasn't. He didn't deserve to die. Don't get me wrong. He did not deserve to die. And what was done to him, if that actually happened, and you can't blame me for wondering these days. You really can't. But yes, it's wrong. It's absolutely, positively wrong. The family of George Floyd, the black man killed while in police custody in Minneapolis on Memorial Day, has sent a letter to the globalist United Nations to ask for its help in disarming police officers in the United States of America. The family's legal team facilitated the letter, which was sent on Wednesday, according to NBC News. The group sent a letter on June 3rd to one of the international body's working groups asking for support for the end of the provision of military equipment and military-type training for police, the teaching of de-escalation techniques, independent prosecutions and autopsy for extrajudicial police killings, and more. Now, I do think that they should have that, independent autopsies for extrajudicial police killings. I do believe that. And I think that it's a good idea to teach them de-escalation techniques as well. I think officers should be well trained in that. But to disarm them, I don't think so. When a group of people of any nation have been systematically deprived of their universal human rights to life by a government for decades, it must appeal to the international community for its support and to the United Nations for its intervention, Floyd family attorney Ben Crump said in a press release. Well, then please tell me how there have been more white people killed than black people by police shootings. Please tell me. Please explain that to me, because I'm not understanding. There's a disconnect here. Because I'm not understanding. Please, somebody explain it to me. I'm serious, because, how can you say that the blacks have been systematically deprived of their universal human right to life by the government for decades? How can you say that? Yes, slavery, absolutely, positively wrong, flat out wrong. And I don't know very many people. Now, there's probably some out there that think it was okay. I don't know. I don't know any. I don't want to know any. But most 99.99% of whites would agree that slavery was despicable and should never have happened. But that was a generation, that was before us. There's nobody alive today that had slaves. So, they're not being systematically deprived of their universal human right to life, when statistically more whites are killed by the police than blacks. But look at the black on black crime. Now that is through the roof, and it shouldn't be. The UN issued a statement on May 28th, 3 days after Floyd's death, and included the names of other black people in the U.S. who have died in police custody. Mishel Bachelet, UN Commissioner on Human Rights, is quoted in the statement, which says in part, I'm not going to even read this because it just makes me mad. Yes, there are black people that have been killed in custody, and it was wrong. But there have also been white people that died in custody that was just as wrong. Just as wrong. But they're never mentioned. Never. You never hear a list of white people that died unjustly in police custody, and there's a lot. A lot. It's horrible. It shouldn't happen to anyone, be it black or white. Don't make this an issue of black against white against black. It's not. We are not a racist nation. When it gets right down to the neighborhoods and everything, I had black neighbors. I got along great with them. I had black friends. Got along great with them. Did I ever see racism? Yes. Yes, I did. But more so in Louisiana than anywhere else I lived. But it was alive and well in North Carolina as well. But as a whole, this country, I don't believe, is racist. I don't. Now, I don't have to live. Now, yes, there's racism, and it's diminishing. It's diminishing with every generation that passes. But I don't know. This whole thing is absolutely crazy to me, because I want to get along with the people that live in my neighborhood. Be they white, be they black, be they Chinese, be they, whatever, American, or not American, but what was I going to say? I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say. Any race, I don't care. I want to get along with them because they're my neighbors. And if they need help and something is going wrong in their life and they need help, I'd be there for them. I don't know. People around here are very neighborly. And when I lived in North Carolina, I saw the same thing. Very, very neighborly people. They saw you needed help with something, they'd help. So, I don't know. I don't think they're trying to paint a narrative of the United States, which really isn't true, because they're taking a fringe element and making people believe that that is the whole of America. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. So, anyway, there you go. That is my take tonight. I hope I haven't made anyone too angry. It's the way I feel. Yes, I believe that there should be justice when someone is killed unjustly. However, I believe that's the same, be you white or black or Latino or whatever you are. You all deserve justice. It's not based on skin color. So that's all I have to say for tonight. I wish you well, and I ask that you would have a wonderful night's sleep, stay safe, stay well, and I will see you in the next video. Oh, I just about forgot, and it just popped into my head. This is important. I have people to thank, and I'm gonna thank them, gosh darn it. All right, well, the following donated via coffee, and Barbara, now I'm sorry, Barbara, I can't pronounce your full name. I really can't. I'm so sorry. And I think it would be more respectful of you to not try to pronounce it than to mangle it. So, Barbara. And then there's Barbie from Cincinnati. And Connie. Thank you guys so much for your donations. I really appreciate it. Keeps me going. And I got some snail mail. That's always fun. Linda and Gary sent a wonderful letter. Thank you so much. And Frank J. sent a note and donation. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Diane K. from Manitoba. Always nice to see a fellow Canadian. I was born in Canada, but I spent most of my life in the U.S., as many of you know. So I am a legal resident of the U.S., even though I'm temporarily in Canada because my mother is elderly and needs me. So thank you, Diane K. I appreciate that so much. That was very generous of you. I really, really appreciated that. So thank you, guys. And that is it for tonight. So I'll see you in the next video. And I hope you have a good night. Stay safe and keep seeking truth, guys.